Just what I tell you, because you like them.
This Premier League Week 13 picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Bet365. Bet365 is offering new users a $1,000 risk-free bet. Sign up today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bet365. And we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use the code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is absolutely no idea to the nearest 3 weeks. Wednesday, the 22nd of November. Yeah, I've got my calendar up. And we are here to handicap Week 13 of the Premier League, which goes from Saturday lunchtime through to Monday night. Joining me from Nottinghamshire is Mr. Barry Penaluna. Hello, Baz. How are you?
Evening, Malcolm. I'm okay. Nice to see there's a lot of people straight in there. Numbers are up, Malcolm. 11 people straight in the YouTube. Holiday season, isn't it, for those over the pond? Happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Forgot all about that, but Courtney was first in. Saying happy Thanksgiving. So yes, happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I mean, we don't do. Do you do any of that, Baz? No.
I'll sit and watch 7 hours of NFL tomorrow night. I have been known to smoke a turkey for Thanksgiving, but I haven't this year. I might get some chicken wings and a few beers, and that'll be my Thanksgiving. NFL and some wings.
I'm bloody working again. There's NFL tomorrow. When was the last Thursday I worked, Baz? Can you think of one? Months ago. First Thursday I've got in the diary forever. All the NFL Thanksgiving. We've done about 4 out of 5 Sundays I've missed. It's been an absolute shambles. But yeah, the chat is live and kicking here, right? Brian's here. Pat Foster. Hello, mate. Slick Rick, Captain Insano, still out the Guillotine League, Captain. Coisty's here. Good evening. So if you are in there and you want to say hello, by all means, jump in and say hello. Yeah, a couple of things on the agenda this week. The second is the Week 13 picks. But I think, Barry, the people want to know what happened in the weekend just gone. So we know it was Barry's Magical Mystery Tour. I think if you caught up with us on Twitter or what have you, you might have found out that we went to Wrocław, Baz. That's where you took us.
That's right.
We went to Leeds on Thursday night. You informed us we were heading to Wrocław in southeast Poland. Southwest Poland, yeah. A couple of hours from the Czech border. We had a lovely time, Barry. I've got some observations, Barry. I'll make my observations, and then you can, if there's anything you want to add or take away from the observations. We had a very good time. We drank lots of beer and shots. We ate like kings, specifically King Henry VIII. We've been back in the country 68 hours, Barry. I've still not had a formed turd. I don't know what's going on there. Still shitting through the eye of a needle 3.5 days later. Apologies to Courtney and anyone else who might be having that tea. And on the Friday, Barry, on the first night, between 3 and 4 a.m., trying to get everyone from the nightclub back to the hotel, your brother said that the next morning it was like Saving Private Ryan, and he's absolutely correct. It was absolute mayhem, Barry. I've never seen anything like it. That's the reason everyone in the world hates English people because of the sort of behaviour that was going on there. So, yeah, that's my synopsis of the weekend. Barry, you?
However, Mark, you say that everyone hates the English, but the Polish in Wrocław loved us, like, or really, certainly in the clubs and the pubs, there was no, like, bad atmosphere anyway. Everyone was really friendly. It was a genuinely nice city, nice people, good atmosphere. We never saw any sign of any trouble. No hassle from anyone at all. Really, really good. But yeah, the 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. on the first night was absolute carnage. So we arrived at midday. We went to the hotel. We took our bags, and the hotel said, "Sorry, your rooms aren't ready, but you can leave your bags in storage." So what we should have done at that point was go to the pub, have something to eat, come back, check into our rooms, and then go out for the night. Instead, we just went out midday. We hit the bar, and we continued for 15 hours. Yeah. And then it only got to about 3 p.m., 3 hours in, when the shots started coming out. And for context, a bottle of vodka in Poland was around about, I think we were paying £20 in a nightclub for a vodka and all of the mixers. So, what, $25, $30 or something. It was so cheap. So yeah, by 3 o'clock, out of 8 of us, Malcolm, I would say there was 3 of us that still had any sort of brain capacity at that point. That was really, to be fair. Both very, very drunk, but both still had our wits about us. But yeah, there were some real casualties to the point where one of them tried to check in at the hotel and just fell asleep on the floor in front of the reception desk. Receptionist asked one of the other lads if an ambulance was required. He was just having a sleep. But everyone made it. We all survived. Saturday was definitely a bit more sedate, but great time. I thought it was a great city. And we had a good laugh and a good night and drank a hell of a lot. But all good fun.
It was lots of fun, Baz. So, yeah, thank you very much for arranging. We'll see where next year brings us. This week, Barry, I think it's time for a bit of a team talk, me and you, but I want the listeners involved here. There's a bit of a team talk because we've had 12 weeks of the season and it's been quite sort of fragmented. We had 3 international breaks, so it's been quite split up. We've had new teams in, we've had new managers to sort out, we've had players come. That's all. 12 weeks have gone now. What we've got, Barry, coming up, this is it. This is going to make or break our season. What's that film where he says the inches that we need are all around us any given Sunday? 37 days, Barry, until January the 1st. We've got 8 game weeks. 8 game weeks in the next 37 days. That's 80 matches, Barry. So we need to bear down. This is our time to shine. This is the time where all the listeners, we need to get amongst it. We need to concentrate. We need to work. We need to put a run together. We need to put it all together now, Baz. This, between now and January the 1st, this makes or breaks our season. Like, this is what separates the men from the boys. This week is unbelievably tricky.
I was going to say, can we start this whole new phase next week when it gets a bit easier?
No, we can't. We've got to go for it this week. I forgot how tricky this was, but you sent me a screenshot 10 days ago of these fixtures and said, fucking hell, have a look at these. And unbelievably, in these 10 games, there's 2 odds-on shots. So there are 2 minus money shots here. 2 7 to 10, minus 142 shots. There's 1 even money favourite. And then all the rest are just... It's like... Me and Bob were just talking about this on the way to football. And I said, it's almost like if I give you a team and then you give me the closest matching team to them. So I said to him, Fulham. He said, Wolves. I said, Luton at home. He said, Crystal Palace. So you can match them up. It's almost, if you were asking for the trickiest matchups, that's what we've got. So it's a really, really tricky thing. To the point, Baz, I would say, I decided on this earlier on. If anybody wants to put together their 10-game card, 10 picks, right, for these games, anyone who lands in profit this week, right, whoever's got the most profit will send a gift card or something to. So I want 1 pick for each game off everybody, just like we do. But screenshot them over, send them on Twitter, send them wherever, into Discord. But if anyone come out of this 10 with the most profit, we'll do a $25 gift card, Baz. This is incredibly, incredibly difficult. Even to the fact it could be a system week. You know, maybe it's like the first week of the season where I think you could take all the underdogs, or I think you could take all 10 games to be draws. And if you hit 3 out of 10, you're going to end up in a little bit of profit. But this is an incredible week, Barry. An absolutely incredible week. How did you find it?
I thought exactly the same. As you say, 10 days ago, I had to look forward to this. And me and you play a Survivor competition. It's only week 2 of the Survivor competition. I think both of us took Arsenal last time out, which...
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't really help having Arsenal because they're away to Brentford, who are in good form as well. But honestly, it's like 10 coin tosses. And which way do you go? Absolutely mad. But I did think the same thing. You could just go through here and take all the underdogs or all of the draws, and you probably will hit 3 draws and do okay. I haven't gone that way. It'd be a bit boring, that. But crazy week. Very, very difficult week. It'll be interesting to see how we come out of it, and if we can come out of it unscathed, ready to hit the remainder of this 37-day stretch. Yeah,
it's a great stretch. Frank, still glorious win for Frank recently. Frank's joined us. Ollie Beckett is in as well here. Ollie, how are you? Pat's already putting up the 10-1-1 draws. Do you know what, Pat? Genuinely, there's profit in that. You're talking 6-1. Like, there's 2 1-1 draws in here this week. You bet 10 units and return 14. Pat's nailed it. Should we just leave it there? I think we should just sign 12 minutes. We'll just leave it. Pat's given us a 4-unit profit bet. Like, absolutely right. That's exactly the sort of shit that's going down. So we'll get stuck into them, Baz. Let's do. We're going to bet 365, where we get all of these lines from. Are our trusted sponsors now. Favourite sportsbook. 88 million players. Prop sites, totals, live betting. I'm sure everyone will be availing themselves of all the Thanksgiving offers. Loads of boosts. 30% profit boost on your NFL same game parlay. An early payout offer if your team goes 17 points up. That is 2 goals. If you get 2-0 up in the football, they'll pay you out. So sign up today, choose from 2 bonus offers, either a $1,000 no sweat bet or bet $5, get 150 in bonus bets. Just head to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bet365, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bet365, or use the sign up link in our show bio. Problem gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, so we move to Saturday lunchtime. The first thing that annoyed me about this is, why is this the Saturday lunchtime game?
I have no idea. You know why it is? Because
to annoy Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, every time there's an international break, Liverpool get the Saturday lunchtime game, and it infuriates Jurgen Klopp. So no doubt he will be infuriated once again. Not that it doesn't affect the other team just as much. I mean, I don't know who will.
It's just, the Saturday lunchtime game for me, it's in a premium time slot. Like, it's everyone's busy. It's certainly not for our American listeners. It's a really early one, but for me, it's not. I'm getting back from football. I'm going back out to football. It's just a bit shit. Like, it's not the Sunday afternoon slot, but it is what it is. 12:30 kickoff, 7:30 Eastern time. Manchester City take on Liverpool. So Manchester City are the first one of our odds-on favourites. They're 7-10, -142. The draw is 16-5, +320. Liverpool are Burlington Bertie, 100-30, +333. So coming into this game, Manchester City are now just 1 point in front of Liverpool, having been held in that brilliant 4-4 draw with Chelsea on the last Sunday afternoon. Erling Haaland is the big injury news here, or is he? I don't know. He pulled out of Norway's games over the international break, but I think Pep Guardiola's got a bit of previous for this. Manchester City are quite happy just to not send any of their players away on international duty if required. 50% he's rated at, will be a big miss. I do think he'll play Baz. City had won 3 in a row before that. I mean, Liverpool would be top now if they'd won at Luton 2 weeks ago in a 1-1 draw, a game they really should have won. Liverpool have been in great form at home, but their away form is a bit of an issue. So the last 3, 1-1 at Luton, 2-2 at Brighton, and they lost at Tottenham in a game that they could have won, but still, that's no win in 3 away games, and they've got no clean sheet away from home either. I couldn't pick a side here, but if I was going to pick a side, I'd probably lean to Liverpool, like just at the price, but I wasn't. The thing to do here is goals. Now, the obvious options are very, very short. The books are on to us over 2.5, both teams to score. They're both juiced around 1 to 2, -200. Liverpool have got problems at the back as well. There's a load of injuries at the moment. One of the key features in a handicap in a lot of these games today is injuries. Robertson's missing, obviously. Canate is 50-50, Joe Gomez. So it's defenders they're missing. And that's not ideal when they play in Manchester City. But Liverpool are always capable of scoring goals. We've just seen Manchester City concede 4 as well. So goals is going to be my play. I've got a few potential plays here, Baz, that I like. The over 3.5 goals is 5-4, +125. I quite like the Liverpool team total. Over 1.5, that's 13-8, +162. My official play, Barry, the one we'll add up at the end of the weekend, it's going to be both teams to score in the first half. And you've put us on to the fact that we'll always concede in the first half. I just think they're going to go for it. There's going to be goals. And if you want a bit of a mad one to set you up for the weekend, both teams to score in both halves is 17-2, +850. But for the purposes of mathematics, Barry, both teams to score in the first half, 5-2, +250.
Yeah, I think goals has got to be the way to go. I mean, first, Man City now up to 23 consecutive home wins in all competitions. Absolutely ridiculous record that. They've scored 19 in the last 5 games. I said last time out, before the Chelsea game, they're starting to click now in front of goal, getting back to the best in front of goal, scoring regularly. They've scored at least 3 goals in each of the last 5 games as well. Liverpool, as you say, best form's all been at home, and they've only won 1 of the last 5 away games. Defeats to Toulouse, Spurs, draws against Luton and Brighton, I think, wasn't it? And Bournemouth, the only team they've beaten in the last 5 away. As you say, they've never kept a clean sheet away from home this season. 9 games. Both teams to score has hit in all 9. And 7 of the 9 went over 2.5. But you're not getting much price for both to score or over 2.5. I like your pick. Both to score in the first half doesn't sound bad at all. I think on form, Man City's home form versus Liverpool's away form has to point towards Man City as a pick. I think they're decent enough at 7-10. They're as big a price as you're ever going to get for City in a home game against anyone, really. But I think there is some value in the goals markets. And City goals, for me, again, the last 2 games between these two sides last season finished 4-1 and 3-2, both to Man City. Man City are clicking now, as I say. They've scored 3 in all of the last 5. I'm going to take them to score 3 here. I took a similar approach in the Chelsea game. I took the over 2.5 and the over 3.5 and cashed them at good prices. I think 7-1 for over 3.5 City goals last time. So it's exactly the same again here. City team total over 2.5 at 13-8. So +167. And I'll go up the ladder a bit, over 3.5 at 9-2 as well. But as you alluded to, I wouldn't talk anyone out of doing the exact same thing on the Liverpool side of it, because I think there'll be goals galore. And as you say, with the Liverpool goal ladder, you can start at 1.5 at 13-8. And for Liverpool to score 3, you're getting 11-2. Liverpool to score 4, 18-1. Some big prices on Liverpool goals. Like I think there'll be plenty of goals in the game and coming from both sides. And as you put a mad one out, I've also got a mad one here. If you fancy it being a wild one like the Chelsea game and want to go full degen, match total over 7.5, 25-1.
Hey, go on, man. I like a bit of that. So start with these 3 o'clock games. There's 6 games like this, Baz, where you've got the slightly worse of the 2 teams is at home. And that's what kind of makes the markets for them. There's 6 of them, almost identical. The first one here is Burnley. against West Ham United. Burnley are 13-5 plus 260. The draw is 13-5 plus 260. West Ham are actually on the drift. They were 19-20 minus 105 a couple of days ago. They were even money this afternoon. They are now plus 105, 21-20. So just the tiniest bit of line movement against West Ham. But yeah, good luck, Barry. Here we go. What have you got?
The line movement's all Jared Bowen, isn't it? Jared Bowen's going to miss out. Potentially going to miss out for a few weeks. He's got a knee problem, fluid on the knee, needs a bit of investigatory work to see what's going on there. Could be out longer, but definitely looks like missing this week. So he will be a big miss for West Ham. And that did give me an initial thought. I think, can I give Burnley a bit of a chance here? But 12-5 plus 240 is not big enough to take a side with just one win and 4 points all season. 9 defeats so far for Burnley, and 7 of them defeats have come by 2 or more goals. It's just really, really difficult to make a case for Burnley at the moment. Until we see something different, it's impossible to make a case for Burnley winning anything. And the price isn't big enough. It's just not big enough for me as a dog pick. West Ham aren't in great form, particularly away from home. They've lost their last 3. The form overall, though, they have bounced back a little bit. They've won at home in the last 2 games. Both sides have gone over 2.5 in 4 of the last 5 games, so slightly lean towards goals. Burnley in particular haven't had a clean sheet in the league all season. So again, a lean towards the goals there. Over 2.5 was a pick I liked. I think it looks okay for me in this one, but at a slightly better price, I decided to go for West Ham goals. Over 1.5 West Ham goals at 5-6, minus 120 is the pick for me. Burnley have conceded at least 2 in each of their last. They're on a bit of a run of leaking goals, and I'm not sure how they're going to arrest that slide. As I say, Bowen missing is a big miss. I still think West Ham can get the job done, and the West Ham team total over 1.5 at 5-6 will be my pick here.
Okay. Yeah, I've got no interest in backing Burnley at this price at all. They haven't demonstrated anything. They've got 1 win in 11 and it came against Luton Town, so you can't back Burnley. They're averaging 0.75 goals per game. They're conceding 2.5 goals per game as well. West Ham would be an auto play, apart from those few injury concerns that you mentioned. Antonio's already out, not a big deal. But Jared Bowen is 50%, and I think he's trending in the wrong direction. However, Mohamed Kudus has been absolutely great for them. So they've kind of got an automatic replacement. And they've still got a lot of good players kicking around. They had lost 3 in a row, though, before they beat Forest. But there's been lots of goals around in their games. 30 goals in the last 8 West Ham games, Baz, including 3 of the last 4 have had 5 goals. Again, over 2.5, and both teams to score are quite heavily juiced, again, about 1-2, minus 150. I'm just going to take West Ham to win, Baz. I've sort of went round and round in circles, and I think there's quite a few of these games where you just have to plump for the better team. I'll do this a few more times before this show is out. West Ham are the better team, quite comfortably the better team as well. So I think 21-20 plus 105, I will take the Happy Hammers. Javi Tron is in the chat. Our resident Real Sociedad supporter, I think, if I remember rightly. Hey, Javi, how are you? 3 o'clock, Luton Town take on Crystal Palace. Another identical game to that last one. Very similar lines. Luton 13-5 plus 260. The draw is 23-10 plus 230. Crystal Palace are 11-10 plus 110. Luton have picked up 2 points in the last 6 games. They have acquitted themselves quite well against Liverpool, where they got a draw, albeit quite fortunately. But they have to ride the luck. That's not their fault. And against Manchester United, where they lost 1-0. There's no real patterns for Luton in terms of both teams to score or the over under 2.5s. But they still just don't pass the eye test for me. They're trying hard. I mean, Man United last time out were never going to thump them just because of the form they're in. In that Liverpool 1-1, Liverpool's XG was way over 3 in that game. Palace form's all over the place, but they have won 2 of the last 3 away from home. They won at Burnley, similar comparison game, I would suggest, and they won at Manchester United, again another low quality Premier League team. But they've got their best players back. As we've talked about players who are missing. Crystal Palace very heavily rely on Eze and Elise, and they're both going to be fit for this game, Baz. Almost identical analysis to the West Ham Burnley game. I'm going to take Palace, Baz, 11-10 plus 110. They're the better team again, and by a little margin. This is how Palace will survive. They win games like this. More often than at home, but they can go and win. They went away to Burnley and won 2-0. They'll do something similar again, Barry. Palace 11-10.
Yeah, we're on very similar lines with this one. I just thought this one was a horrible one because, again, as you say, it's really hard to make a strong case for Luton winning a game. They've still only done it once against Everton. But again, Palace don't inspire you very much, do they? And Luton do seem to be able to keep themselves in games every week. You know, they drew with Liverpool. They lost by just a single goal to Man United and Spurs. There's only Villa who've gone there and beat them by 2 or more since the third week of the season. They started off badly, but then since then they have been keeping things tight. But they still aren't winning games, and that's a concern for anyone wanting to back Luton on the money line. I couldn't do it myself. I think it will be a tight one. I think it'll be low scoring, but unders is far too short. 4-6 minus 150 for the unders. As I say, Palace don't inspire me very much, but they have won 4 games already this season, and 3 of them were away from home as well. So going away from home isn't necessarily a problem. They're actually up in 6th in the away form table, Palace. They've already beaten the other 2 promoted sides, so you've got comparison games there where they've gone to Sheffield United and Burnley. And as you mentioned, Eze and Elise back from injuries is a massive bonus for them. So exactly the same pick. Luton v Palace, I've gone for Palace to win at 11-10 plus 110.
Frank points out in the chat that Manchester United are above Newcastle.
Manchester United are top. Sorry? Manchester United are top of the form table for the last 5 games.
You're right. I've made that point in my very fair assessment of the Man United game later on. Yeah, so I'm struggling to argue with your point there, Frank, but it doesn't mean I can't make it. It's my show. Underdog Fantasy, I've got a great way to help you play alongside your favourite fantasy players all season long. We've got NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, and college football. So simply pick higher or lower on your favourite players' fantasy stats and cash in. There's been some great cashes from the network, boys and girls, on Underdog recently. Watch along, make your picks, and make a little cash when you sign up with the promo code SGPN. Underdog, double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. And Hall of Fame bets, helping you win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season. The sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props and game lines, NFL, NBA, MLB, and soccer bets with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay in the Hall of Fame bets parlay optimizer. You'll get hit rates broken down by leg, expected probabilities. So stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Next up, continue the 3 o'clocks. We have Newcastle United taking on Chelsea. Newcastle United are 13-9 plus 145. The draw's 5-2 plus 250. Chelsea 7-4 plus 175. Really, really tricky one, Baz. You can go first.
Yeah, I didn't like this one much either. But
no.
I don't like any of them, to be honest. I mean, if Newcastle hadn't been completely decimated by injuries recently, I'd have found this quite easy at the prices. But, you know, we've got no Tonali, no Wilson, Barnes, Longstaff, Botman, Murphy, Byrne. Really down to the bare bones now. International break definitely came at the right time for Newcastle. But at the same time, there's not many from the injured list who are expected to come back. I think there's plenty of hope that Isak might be ready, which would be a massive boost we could do with a striker. Bruno G returns from suspension, who haven't missed out against Bournemouth. So yeah, lots of negatives around Newcastle at the minute in terms of injuries and suspension. But the positives is the home form. 7-9 we've won in all competitions so far. And we were on a 6-game streak at home before losing to Dortmund. I think we've won our I'm sure I read they won our last 4 home games in the Premier League now without conceding a single goal as well. So home form is really, really solid. At the same time, Chelsea are improving, no doubt about it. They'll be more of a threat than they've been for some time in this fixture. They've not beaten Newcastle in the last 3 head-to-heads. But recent results, 4-1 against Spurs, I think flatters them a little bit. There was a lot of other things going on in that game, and they ran up a score late on. But the 4-4 against City was a solid performance, and one that definitely will give them loads of confidence coming into this one. But ultimately, I'm coming back to the Newcastle form at St James's Park. We've beaten good sides several times already. We've beaten Man City in the Cup, PSG in the Champions League, Villa, Arsenal. So there's no reason why we can't beat Chelsea here, even with the problems we've got. The Arsenal win came at a time where we had all of these injuries. And a similar effort to that game, with the crowd behind us, could see us sneak past Chelsea. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I think Newcastle are an all right price. Not my most confident pick at all, but it's a decent price. Newcastle to beat Chelsea at 6-4 is the pick for me.
Yeah, this was horrible, Baz, and I don't like picking Newcastle anyway. I'm not very good at it. I don't like it. And the fact that this was so tricky didn't help me either. We are mangled by injuries, but I think our starting 11 should be competitive enough. I don't think Fabian Schär played any minutes when he was away. Joe Linton got himself sent off after 8 minutes, so he should be nice and rested. So hopefully, and Isaac's important. If we get Isak back, then we're going to be live because we've got no other strikers. Wilson's toast. It's Chelsea with the interesting team here. They've scored 4 goals 3 times in the last 5 games. Only 1 defeat in 6, and definitely on the up. Nkunku's got a little chance of being back. If he does, it'll be off the bench, I would have thought. My thing with Chelsea here is, Baz, I think they've played really well against the good teams, the teams who've gone at them. So they played well against Liverpool. I think it was first game of the season. They got a draw with Arsenal. They had that mad game against Manchester City. Put all of that in against the game against Brentford 3 weeks ago. They've struggled to break down a team with a low block, a team who just sort of sits, and Brentford went and turned them over. Now, Eddie Howe's not stupid. We know Eddie Howe's an excellent, excellent coach. And I think he'll be aware of that. We saw the Arsenal game, a similar comparison game. Newcastle beat Arsenal 1-0 a few weeks ago. Even when Newcastle struggled, they've shown the ability to be able to defend properly. And I think we'll be able to maintain that. So a combination of a weakened Newcastle but still being able to defend properly. I think the under 2.5. Slick Rick's put it up in the chat. Pat Foster mentioning that Tino Livramento is going to be a good player. He'll slot in on the left side for Dan Burn, I think. So I think the under 2.5 goals, Barry, I wouldn't care to pick a side even a little bit. But yeah, Newcastle have been a little bit shot shy. As much as we've said they're able to batter teams, and they are, we didn't score against Bournemouth. We scored 1 against Arsenal. In 3 of our 4 Champions League games, we haven't scored a goal. So yeah, under 2.5 goals, Bars, 19-20, -105. Josh Forster is going for Chelsea. Josh, new name in the chat. Good evening. How you doing? Not making friends. Making friends nice and early there, Josh. We got Chelsea pick. I like it. Okay, well, 3 o'clock we'll carry on. Nottingham Forest take on Brighton. Another one of the games for 2 teams close together, and the better teams away from home. Fits the pattern. Forest 11-5 +220. The draw is 13-5 +260. Brighton are 15-13 +115. Forest have only had 1 win in 8 now. Oh, it was a good one though. They beat Aston Villa at home. In the 3 home games before that, it was 2-2 home draw with Luton, 1-1 with Brentford, 1-1 with Burnley. So not great form at home. But Brighton stinking the place out a little bit. No win in 6. They've had 3 consecutive 1-1 draws. I've missed all of that with a 1-1 of the week. Yeah, Barry's making the... I haven't... It's not actually, Baz. But they should have been because the last 3 times. Injuries again for Brighton. They're mangled. And Evan Ferguson, I think, would make a difference for them. Striker. He's not going to be fit. 100% record in both teams to score for Brighton. If you look at the pinch one, again, it's about -200, something like that, 1-2. But I think the team totals are the wrong way around here, Baz. The Brighton team total over 1.5 is at 9 to 10, minus 111. The Forest team total over 1.5 is plus 150, 6 to 4. I think Forest have got 2 goals in them, haven't they? They got 2 against West Ham last time. They're very lively. They're good at home. Brighton have got no intention of defending at any point. I think Forest can get 2. This could finish 9-5 or something. Who cares? Forest team total over 1.5, plus 150, 6 to 4, please.
Yeah, I mean, plus money price like that against a team who haven't kept a clean sheet in the league all season. Like, you almost guaranteed that first one. Can you get the second one for 6 to 4? Not a bad shout at all. But as you mentioned, just 1 win and 8 for Forest in the league. And similar for Brighton. No win in 6 now and 4 draws in the last 6 games for Brighton. And whilst the games were full of goals, earlier in the season, they were hitting over 3.5 every week. They've now gone under 2.5 goals in 5 consecutive games. Both teams to score still hitting in every league game for Brighton, as you've mentioned. I couldn't back either of them with much confidence at the moment in the form they're in. So I'm happy to take the draw, 13 to 5, plus 260. 3 consecutive 1-1 draws for Brighton, as you mentioned. 4 draws in the last 6 altogether. And Forest have had 3 in their last 6. So last 12 games across the 2 of them, 7 of them have been a draw. I think we should get a good run for your money with a draw here. Josh likes the same pick as well. Josh Forster's gone for the draw. Tough game. I'll take the draw. Biggest price of them all. Forest v Brighton to draw at 13 to 5.
Okay, I like that. Baz, we've got one more 3 o'clock. It is another exactly the same. Sheffield United against Bournemouth. Sheffield United 11 to 5 plus 220. The draw 5 to 2 plus 250, and Bournemouth 6 to 5 plus 120. Barry, pick this one apart.
2 teams who've had a little bit of an uptick in form recently. Sheffield United, coming off a 6-game losing streak, have now picked up 4 points in the last 2 games. And Bournemouth, having taken a long time to get their first win, have now won 2 of the last 3, including that recent win over Newcastle. And that's a game that obviously sticks in my mind because Newcastle weren't good that day. We looked tired. Injuries and suspension had left us very short. But Bournemouth looked really good as well. Newcastle, I don't think you can make some excuses. But Bournemouth went and won it. It wasn't a case of Newcastle necessarily throwing that game. And to be fair, they attacked well, particularly in the counter-attack, and they could easily have hit 3 or 4 against us. Pope had to make a few good saves to keep the score down. And then you've got Sheffield United, still no clean sheet in the league this season. And Bournemouth have been scoring in games most recently. Even against City, they scored. Against Liverpool, they scored. So rather than taking Bournemouth on the money line here, which was my first lean, I'm going to take Bournemouth to score 2 or more at evens. Sheffield United have only conceded 1 in each of the last 2 games, so that goes against me. But before that, they'd gone 9 consecutive games, conceding 2 or more goals. And as I say, Bournemouth, I like the look of Bournemouth. I think they could start to get that little bit of a run that gets them away from trouble now. And this would be a big step towards that, being against one of those relegation-threatened teams. Bournemouth team total, over 1.5 at evens for me.
Ollie's just saying in the chat that he's a Sheffield United fan. How long did we try and find a Sheffield United fan in the summer, Barry? Like, we tried everywhere, didn't we? The amount of people that turned us down was quite remarkable. Like,
we messaged a lot of people on social media to see if they would come and talk Sheffield United and give us a pre-season preview, and nobody wanted to do it. I think there was a lot of negativity around Sheffield United in the build-up. It was around the time where Ndiaye had just left for Marseille. Sander Berge was on his way, and everybody was getting a little bit down about Sheffield United. Nobody wanted to talk about it. So yeah, if they do manage to stay up, Ollie Beckett's our pre-season man.
Got the job, he's in. Checked in the post, Ollie. So Sheffield United 4 points from 2 games. Beat Wolves 2-1 last time. A little bit fortunate. Bournemouth, I don't know what to make of Bournemouth beating Newcastle. They took advantage of a good spot, definitely. But at the same time, they did grasp it with both hands and they played well. And they've won 2 of their last 3 now because they beat Burnley at home as well. But their away form's terrible, Barry. Absolutely terrible. They lost 6-1 at City. Brackets fair enough because anyone could do that. They lost 3-1 to Everton. They lost 3-1 to Brighton. They're going to give Sheffield United a chance here. There is no way you can take Bournemouth at 6-5 to win a Premier League football match. I don't care who they're playing. And away from home, absolutely no way. Bournemouth, the shite. Sheffield United aren't great, but you can't take them at 6-5. At the prices, you can only take Sheffield United, Barry. So I'll be taking Sheffield United. Frank fancies that as well. Josh has gone for Bournemouth. Josh is just trolling me at this point. I think he's going dead opposite. I'll take Sheffield United 11-5 plus 220. What did you say, Baz? Bournemouth goals. I'm writing this down.
Bournemouth goals, right, yeah. So you're going to need Sheffield United to win 3-2, Malcolm.
Okay. No, I think it's a day for Sheffield United. Philip Billings still missing as well, and I know he didn't play the Newcastle match, but he's quite important. Okay, tea time on Saturday is what's that? 5:30, so 12:30 Eastern time. Brentford take on Arsenal. Brentford 7-2 plus 350. The draw's 11-4 plus 275, and Arsenal are 3-4 minus 133. Brentford snapped their 3-game winning streak when they lost to Liverpool. Again, fair enough. Really hard to analyse, Brentford. There's no patterns anywhere. They're absolutely all over the shop. They don't do you any favours. Arsenal, I can't quite work Arsenal out. They've been beating bad teams at home. Their recent form, they humped Sheffield United. They beat Burnley quite comfortably. But then they haven't been winning against good teams away. They lost 1-0 at Newcastle and didn't perform very well. They got a 2-2 at Chelsea. That was their last 2 road games. Brentford are decent at home. Always competitive. You think back to any game you like, Brentford very rarely get turned over and very rarely don't score. Now, Arsenal have kept clean sheets away from home, but I just think Brentford will get amongst them here. Odegaard's still missing for us. It's important. The safest bet to me, Baz, is one of the least exciting ones on my card. It's 4 teams to score. That's 4-5 minus 120.
Yeah, not bad shout. Brentford are another team who've had a recent uptick in form, haven't they? They did lose 3-0 to Liverpool in the last one, but prior to that, they had won 3 on the bounce. West Ham, Brentford, Burnley, and scored 8 goals across those 3 games. So started looking like they can sort of get back in amongst the goals now. I think given the recent away form for Arsenal, I just think Arsenal are a bit too short. Only won 1 of the last 5 away games, losing to Newcastle, West Ham, Lens in the Champions League, draws with Chelsea, Sevilla, the only team that beat. So no win in 3 league games away from home. I'm just happy to take a bit of a chance on Brentford. I think they'll get in amongst them as well. And I think they can get something from the game. But I have hedged a little bit. I've gone with Brentford, double chance, win or draw at evens. I mean, Malcolm, it's the same pick you've made before. And as you say, there's 2 outcomes. You can win or you can lose. So you can't give me that. The pick, Brentford v Arsenal. The pick is Brentford on the double chance, win or draw against Arsenal at evens.
It just makes me laugh, Barry, that's all. You're right, I have picked it before. Right, okay. Sunday. This is a mad-looking game. What on earth's going on here? 2 o'clock kickoff. What time is that? 9 a.m. Eastern time. Tottenham Hotspur take on Aston Villa. Tottenham are 5-4 plus 125. They've actually drifted a little bit here, 13-10. So they've drifted a 20th of a point. The draw is 14-5 plus 280. Aston Villa in 9-5 plus 180. So the lines tell you how close it is. Baz, what have you got?
Where'd you go?
There's a lot of these games that made you just go.
Every single one of them. Every single one. I said after the loss to Chelsea for Spurs, and again after the Wolves game, Spurs I want to just treat very, very carefully at the moment. With the loss of Maddison, weakens them up front. Van de Ven is a big loss.
Huge loss.
Romero is still suspended. Basuma's suspended this week as well. And I just don't see how they can quickly get back to the levels they were at just a couple of weeks ago. I think Van de Ven's massive loss. Maddison at the other end will have a huge impact. I think it'll affect Son. It'll affect Kulusevski. Brennan Johnson doesn't fill that void sufficiently for me. But on the other side of it, we've also said Villa's away form. Villa away from home and Villa at home are 2 completely different entities. So really, really challenging here. Back-to-back defeats for Spurs, and then Villa with just 2 wins and 6 away from home in the league. So I couldn't back either of them. I just, because of what I've said previous weeks, keeping away from Villa away from home, and I'm keeping away for Spurs until I see how they settle with this sort of rehashed lineup they're going to have. Looking elsewhere, goals is priced very short, as you might expect for this one. I'd say this is one of the worst ones on the slate for me. Struggle to find much value in the usual goals markets. There was no real trends. I looked at corners, I've looked at cards, and just nothing was jumping out at all. So I found something a little bit different here. Again, not a hugely confident pick, but just looking for a little bit of value. If I had to take a side in this game, I would go with Villa. Just because of all the injuries to Spurs, I would side with Villa. Therefore, I'm looking at Villa goals, and in particular, Villa to score in each half. So rather than just going for a team total, I'm taking Villa to score in each half. They've got the best record in the league, scoring in each half. 6 out of 12 games they've done it. Now, admittedly, 5 of those were at home, where we know that they're a lot better side. But I'm getting a good plus money price here, 9-4, plus 225. So it is a game, another one where I found it very tricky to find something. So I was just looking around for something that just give us a little bit of value or a little bit of a fancy price where I could, possibly get a bit of a run. If you can get that first goal in the first half, then you're chasing down a decent price in the second half. So yeah, pick for me, Spurs v Villa. Villa to score in both halves at 9-4, plus 225.
Villa goal in both halves. Right, what's Pat writing here? Pat's priced up a 10 draw parlay, $5 returns 1.3 million. We don't need to check your maths, Pat. That's absolutely fine. I mean, you can't spell maths, but you can do it. Tottenham, suddenly, all of a sudden, it's a very different Tottenham, innit? That disastrous 4-1 defeat to Chelsea had consequences. It wasn't just losing that game, and we saw those consequences. And it deserved 2-1 defeated Wolves last week. Still lots of goals around in the Tottenham games. So Villa are 5th, 1 place and 1 point behind Tottenham. And that 2-0 defeat at Nottingham Forest spoils a really good run of form. Although, to be fair, lots of them against mid to bottom teams, but again, loads of goals as well. I was looking for a sidebars. I looked at Villa, the same as you did. I then started looking around for some goals prices, some markets, just like you did, that were bigger than Villa on the money line, and I couldn't find any that I liked. So I'm going to stick with Aston Villa. What concerns me is Tottenham's inability to defend properly, and Villa are an incredibly dangerous team. They're probably up there with Liverpool in terms of teams who's good. If you make a mistake, especially on the break, if they play that mad high line, Villa could absolutely pick them apart, like Eric Dyer, whoever else running around at the back. So yeah, I'll take Aston Villa at 9-5 plus 180. Okay, we go across to Sunday tea time. Are you ready, Frank and Courtney? This one's for you. 4:30, 11:30 Eastern time. Everton take on Manchester United. Everton are 9-5 plus 180. The draw is 12-5 plus 240. Manchester United are 6-4 plus 150. So we've got this far, 49 minutes into the show, Barry, and have not mentioned Everton's 10-point deduction, because that's happened since we broadcast last. Now, I mean, do you want to talk about it? It's happened. I don't, 100% Baz, I don't really understand it. That sort of shit's not for me. It's complicated. I'm born idle. Like, I haven't bothered trying to understand it. It's a thing that's happened. I think it's funny. Everton fans won't think it's funny. That's how football works. I mean, have you anything to add to that?
I think they're getting a bit carried away in their reaction. At the end of the day, Everton. Well, no, probably not. Any group of fans would do the same. To be fair, they feel hugely aggrieved by the punishment they've received for cheating the system. The independent panel found that they had cheated the system and punished them accordingly. Some of the stories coming out are a bit garbage. That I've seen fans claiming the they're being punished for building a new stadium. That's bollocks, because infrastructure spending doesn't come into a financial fair play calculations. They're clutching at straws a little bit by claiming if they hadn't built the stadium, the owner would have put his own money in for transfers instead of them borrowing loads of money for transfers and stuff like that, paying interest. So, as you say, it's complicated. Who are we to say whether that decision was right or wrong without reading the 70 pages of whatever that judgment was? I'm not going through that, Malcolm. I ain't got that time. So, yeah, let's not.
The only thing I don't understand is Man City have been charged about 10 years ago, and why? That's what I don't understand. Why hasn't that been sorted? Where haven't been charged? Been dealt with?
I think I don't like that response, because I think it's a bit of a. It's just a lazy thing to say. It's like,
I genuinely don't know what's the answer.
Maybe it's because there is 115 charges of Man City and there's more to look at. Maybe Everton's clear cut.
Right.
And far more cities could be far more nuanced. I don't know. But it's just an obvious thing. It's an obvious thing. Everyone's going to look and say, well, City have got 115 charges. Why are they not? I think City will end up with a points deduction. What it is, I don't know. But I suspect, again, it's another one. I don't know what them 115 charges are for City either. There's just so much intricacy to it. That is why it takes years. This Everton thing's been going on for a long time, Malcolm. There was rumours they were going to lose them last year, and there'll be legal challenges about that fact, because teams got relegated off the back of Everton having broken the rules. That could be more of a problem for Everton, because I think Everton will be okay. They're only 2 points off safety. The 10 points have gone. Had they have lost the 10 points last year, they were down. That was it. So I still think they'll overcome it. I think it's part of my handicap here. Will what's happened sort of galvanise Everton as a team and as a fan base and everyone, or will everything that's going to happen this week be a bit of a distraction? But yeah, as I say, any group of fans would do what Everton fans are doing this weekend. They've got planes flying over grounds with protests. They're going to go to the Premier League offices on Friday and protest, and there'll be massive protests before, during, and after this game. But as I say, Newcastle fans went through a bit of that when the Premier League blocked our takeover and stuff, and any fans will do the same, because they're the first, aren't they? It's unprecedented. I think we'll see more of this down the line, or we'll see teams finally having to be a bit smarter with their spending. But we shall see.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't being flippant when I asked what's happened to Man City. I just genuinely don't know. Don't know why that would take so long. But as people in the chat have pointed out, there's Chelsea, you've got some issues. Tottenham have just had some issues this week with the Jermaine Defoe transfer. So there's all sorts of shite going on, and Newcastle get hit with something sooner rather than later as well, because everyone's after us. But yeah, I can't see it having a bad reaction, Baz, because they're playing well. If they were struggling, if they were Burnley and then this happened, you'd think, oh my God, they're not going to react well to this. I think Everton have got that dogs of war thing going on.
Yeah.
And because they're playing well, as much as team spirit's an illusion, as far as I'm concerned, I think momentum is real and they have it, and now it'll change to them. 2 wins again, back-to-back wins, and they'll be back 6 points out of the shit. And the shit down the bottom is particularly thick this year. Like, there's teams who look like they've got no chance of winning it all. So they're back down to 19th now. The home form was a bit of concern for me. I mean, they've won 4, drawn 1, lost 7, but they've only won 1 of their 6 home league games, Barry. Manchester United, best form in the league, as we pointed out earlier on. They've won 4 of the last 5 games. What a team, Barry. Scintillating football to watch. Absolutely outstanding. Beautifully coached. Well-disciplined bunch. However, all 4 wins have been absolutely dog shit. They haven't drawn a game yet this season, and I think, Barry, it's about time they did. So I'm going to take the draw here, 12-5, plus 240. Not only that, Baz, but it's 6-1. I'm going to take this 1-1 draw.
It's Malcolm's 1-1 draw. A goal.
It's a 1-1 draw of the week. Koisty was whinging about my hat. I had that train driver's hat on in Poland this weekend, Koisty, and I got several admiring looks. I was the height of fashion, thank you very much. Barry, Everton, Man United.
Yeah, so Everton in good form, but just one defeat in 6 across the league and cup, and unbeaten in the last 3 at home. I know you said they've only won one of their league games at home, covering cup games. They're unbeaten in 3. And as I say, it's unbelievable that Man United are top of that form table the last 5 games, despite having scored just 6 goals in those 5 games as well. But 12 points from 5, as you say, a lot of good fortune required in there. But you got to win them, haven't you? Everton aren't far behind in that form table, though. They've got 10 from the last 5 also. I mentioned before, Man United, you mentioned they haven't had a draw all season. They still haven't won a game by more than a single goal either. Every single game they've won has been by the odd goal, just the one goal. And it's a similar story. Everton at home, they haven't been beaten by more than a single goal all season. So I think we can expect a tight game here. And for me, Malcolm, that brings the draw firmly into play.
Yes.
Will it be a distraction? Will it galvanise Everton? I think it will. I think Everton will be right up for this, and they can get something out of this game. I was very close to going with Everton, but I think the best play here is just to roll with a draw, 12-5, which is the biggest price of the 3. Everton got just a little bit shorter than I thought it'd be. But yeah, same pick, Malcolm. Man United, Everton v Man United is the draw at 12-5 plus 240.
Team ride on the draw. Get in. Right, we've got one more game. Virtually impossible to solve. Monday night, 8 o'clock kickoff, 3 p.m. Fulham take on Wolves. Fulham 11-8 plus 137. The draw is 23-10 plus 230. Wolverhampton Wanderers are 2-1. Barry.
Yeah, this was the worst one of the lot. Then I think I've said
well,
that.
You don't like either of these teams, do you?
I've said this about 3 times tonight, though, that this is the worst fixture of the lot. But yeah, I got to the end of this and thought, no, this is the worst. Because you mentioned before about someone, I can't remember who it was, having like no kind of consistency in their form at all. And this goes for both of these teams. There isn't an outcome in this game that would be a surprise to anyone, because neither of these teams can hit unbeaten streaks, losing streaks, winning streaks. It's just all over the place. So as I say, no outcome in this game would surprise anyone. And I think you could have said that for just about every game on this slate. Liverpool go to Man City and win, no surprise. Chelsea could beat Newcastle, nobody's hugely shocked. All the way down the card, same story. The trend that did have was Wolves games and goals. 10 in a row, both to score across all competitions. And 8 of those 10 went over 2.5 goals. So good trends towards both teams to score and the over 2.5. Both teams to score is 4-5 minus 125, whereas the over 2.5 goals is 43-40 plus 107, so slightly bigger price. The concern that comes with it, we've talked about Neto's injury for Wolves being a big loss. Palhinha's missing for Fulham this week. Suspended, I think it's a suspension, but he's missing anyway. But plus money, as I say, Wolves are conceding frequently enough. I'm going to take the overs just because it's a reasonable price given the form in Wolves game. So Fulham v Wolves, over 2.5 goals at 43-40 for me.
What bet do you think I'm taking here, Baz? I think you know this.
Under 2.5 goals.
You know fuck all, Barry. You're useless. Right, Fulham are 15th, no winning 4. They did okay against Man United a couple of weeks ago, but couldn't score. Were unlucky to lose 1-0. The 2 home wins for Fulham were against Sheffield United and Luton. Wolves did well last time out to beat Tottenham 2-1, having been absolutely chinned in the 2 previous weeks by VAR against Sheffield United and Newcastle. They're playing okay. There's a small chance Neto's back, 25%, but unlikely. I basically think Wolves are the better team, Barry. Like I say, they beat Tottenham without Neto, and they beat them relatively comfortably as well. I mean, I did this earlier on with Crystal Palace. I did it with West Ham. But this time, I'm doing it with Wolves. And Wolves are the dogs, like. Wolves are better than Fulham. I'll take Wolves at 2-1. At least 2 of those 3, Wolves, Palace, and the other one, West Ham. 2 of those 3 you're going to win. Stick them in a round robin. I'll take Wolves at 2-1, Barry. And I think we've made it to the end of the definitely the trickiest 10-game card we've done since we've been peddling this rubbish, Barry.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely impossible this week. It's going to be nice to clock.
Don't forget, if any of you listening people want to put out a 10 picks, write down 10 picks, a pick for each game, send them in at SGPN Premier, put them on Twitter or whatever. And if there's whoever's got the biggest profit margin, we'll whack a gift card out to. So I want to see someone do well this week. So we'll get them 10 written down, one pick in each game. Right, Barry, any fancy stuff? What have you got?
I've got a little bit of fancy stuff, but when the simple stuff's so hard, Malcolm, what chance have we got with the fancy stuff? I like Bournemouth this week. Solanke 2-1 for my scorer, anytime goal, and yeah, so Solanke to score anytime 2-1 plus 200, and Solanke first goal scorer 11-2 plus 550 is where I'm going with my goal scorer. Underdog for me. As you said earlier, there's not many underdogs on the card in terms of normally when we're looking for underdogs, Mal, we're looking for 3-1s, 4-1s upwards. The biggest price of any team this week's a 7-2. As you say, there's only 2 odds on shots. So my underdogs, one you've already taken elsewhere, it's Villa to beat Spurs. Around 2-1, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
My accumulator is the usual team totals. I've gone for Man City, Brighton, and Bournemouth, all to score 2 or more at 5-1.
Okay, Frank's putting up the win draw double chance on all the away teams. I love how like that. That's it. That's a result. My underdog's got to be Wolves. Spurs will stick with that Monday night game at 2-1. Anytime goal scorer, I'm going to go to the game. I think there's going to be tons of goals in, which is Spurs Villa. Therefore, it's Ollie Watkins. Tottenham missing all their good defenders. Eric Dyer is not going to be able to do anything here. It's really struggling at the back. Ollie Watkins is 13-8 plus 162 anytime. 11-2 plus 550 to score first and or last. Now I've got over 3.5 goal treble, Baz. Match goals over 3.5. There's a few games here that I think could go berserk. So Nottingham Forest v Brighton, Tottenham versus Villa, and Manchester City versus Liverpool. All over 3.5 goals. Pays 12-1, Barry. Wallop. What about that?
Nice. Love it.
Excellent. So there, I think we're done.
Yeah, just a quick one. I mean, thanks to everyone who's joined tonight. It's been really busy.
Yeah,
lots of people getting in. You can tell it's holiday season. So once again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone over that way. Have a great day. Have a great holidays. Forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, apologies to anyone who usually listens on Spotify. Technical problems last week meant the Spotify episode didn't go out till about 3 days later, which meant all of the picks had gone, which probably wasn't a bad thing.
When we were picking Finland and Malawi and all that shit.
All of that garbage. So it wasn't our finest podcast.
You did well to miss it. People have a day off.
But yeah, it went out everywhere else but Spotify. I don't think it popped up till Saturday or something like that. So apologies for that. But thanks everyone who's came in tonight. Getting back to the bread and butter. And don't forget, like, rate, review, thumbs up on the YouTubes, all of that sort of stuff. And if you are a TikToker, join me at 11:30 on Saturday, 11:30 UK time, where I will go live and talk about the Man City Liverpool game pre-game. And put a few bets out and hopefully get a few horse winners from a few of our regulars on your TikTok.
Forgot you branched out into the GGs, haven't you?
Yeah.
Get in. Love it. Thanks, Baz. That was tremendous. I felt like we hadn't done a podcast for months. I think it was just the beer fear and the anxiety of the weekend and everything else.
I haven't watched a game of football for months, Malcolm. I don't think I've watched. Because while we were away, fortunately, we didn't watch anything. So we didn't have to put up with England 2, Malta 0, or England 1, Macedonia 1. We didn't watch any of that shite, thankfully. So yeah, no football for me for a good 7 or 8 days now. But definitely looking forward to getting back into it on Saturday with an absolute cracker to kick off with.
Well, frankly, Baz, we couldn't focus on much, could we, after the first couple of hours? So it didn't really matter if there was football or not. Right, we'll be back Sunday. Good luck with any of this. But yeah, like I say, eight game days between now and January the 1st. So we're going to go through the gears is what we're going to do. And by then, we're going to absolutely nail it. Thanks, everyone. That was loads of fun. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving. Nail all your bets. We'll see you down the road. Cheers.